Hello. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, we will discuss Readline library. So to start with, let me present an example to you. Don't worry if you don't understand a lot of it. It is quite an advanced example. So if you don't understand, don't worry. Once you read the documentation, it will be clear. So we'll call main function here if the script is run. In main function, we have an infinite while loop. We get the current working directory and then the prompt is given current working directory space dollar, and then with the space we read a command with that prompt, and if the command is not there, we continue. Once command is there, we call parse pipeline and execute pipeline. So let's go and look at parse pipeline. Now parse pipeline reads the input string, that is the command which we call. Okay. By the way, this entire program is basically we are creating a mini shell like bash or gnome terminal kind of thing. Not gnome terminal, it's like bash like. So we have shell lexer. So it will split the command for commanding commands, and it will split by pipe. Okay. So that's how we parse the command line. Then we have execute pipeline, right? Yep, execute pipeline. So we send it to execute pipeline. Whatever we parse, we put it in a variable and send it to execute pipeline. And what execute pipeline does is, so observe previous std out is none, processor is empty. So it looks at the pipeline and enumerates it. It gets two things, I and CMD. So it calls handle redirection with CMD. So handle redirection, what it does is initially std in and std out are none. So if there is a redirection output operator, it finds the index of that output operator and opens a command. It opens a file with write mode. Okay. And assigns that to std out. And the rest of the things before the IDX is the command. If there is double arrow in the redirection, it is append mode. Remaining things remain same. If it is an input redirection, then it opens a file with read-only mode and calls that std in and returns command std in, std out. So that is how handle redirection works. Now, if the command is not there, then it continues. By the way, in this case, if there is no the redirection operators, it simply sends CMD, std in none, std out none. Okay. If command is none, then it continues. Then we have expand vars. So what does expand vars do? It calls os.path.expand vars on tokens of the command, right? The tokens of the command, it calls expand vars. So what expand vars does is it expands shell variables of the form $var and $var within braces. Unknown variables are left unchanged. So it's a library call. Once the variables are expanded, it checks if length of pipeline is 1. Okay. And CMD0 is in built-ins. So built-ins is basically a dictionary. We have CD, present working directory, exit, and help. These are the built-ins. So if it is in built-ins, it runs the built-ins. Okay. It simply executes the command, and then it returns. std in is std in file returned from handle redirection if it is there, else leave std out. Okay, it was none initially, so it has not changed yet. In the first iteration, it won't change. Then it creates a subprocess.pipe if I is less than length of pipeline -1, else std out file. Then it opens a subprocess here, and std in gets std in, std out gets std out. If there's an exception, it says file not found error. And then prev std out is closed. The process std out, this process std out is attached to previous std out, and in the processes you append the process, and for process for all members of the process list you call the wait. So you wait for the process to continue. Okay, that is one thing. Now there are some other things as well. So if you look from the beginning, it creates a history file, partial history in the current folder, and at the end it saves that file. Okay. Then we have cd, one command is there which receives arguments, and target is equal to args0 if args, else os.path.expand user tilde. So if there is argument, cd executes with the argument, otherwise it goes to home directory. Then we have pwd built-in command which gets the current working directory and prints it. Exit cell raises system exit exception. Help cmd prints the help. Then we have complete here, which is the autocomplete facility of Readline. It gets the current buffer and then splits it. Okay. Then we count the number of tokens. If it's less than equal to 1, then it looks at built-in also keys, and then it calls get executable. So we'll see what get executables does. Okay. So what get executable does is it looks at the path environment variable and splits by OS path separator, which is usually called. By the way, you can't run this on Windows. This program won't work on Windows. So CMD is a set. So for P in paths, it lists all the directories, and whatever it finds in the path, it adds that to executable list, just like a shell. And then it matches CMD for CMD in options if CMD dot starts with text. If that is not the case, then it does path completion with text. So what path completion does is it does a similar thing. So it's not necessary. This much should be efficient to understand the program. Then we put set completer. We pass a callback URL complete, parse and bind. Tab is the key to complete it. Okay. So generally, the general idea is that it will be a mini shell. Okay. So let's start the execution here. So we call Python by readline example.py. Observe the prompt. See the prompt change. Now my username and my machine name is no longer there. It's the present working directory. Now if I simply type cd, it takes me to my home directory. If I say gcc and hit tab, it auto completes that. This is the tab key which auto completes the current command. Okay. And if you do ls, it shows you all the files. Now our file should be here .py shell history. So this is the Python shell history. So if you want, we can see what commands I have executed. So we click that. Okay, for some reason it can't do that. Okay, cat /home. Okay. Those are the commands. So for some reason it does not expand the tilde. You have to go the full path. So it behaves like a proper shell. So similarly, we can say ls -1, and we can give that to an output list of files. And let's see if it saved that file. Yes, it did, and the contents are there. So that's the command line. There are more things you can do with the read line, like you can use alt backspace to delete by word. You can press Control Shift _ to undo. You can do Control A to go at the beginning, Control E at the end. So all the commands of Emacs are there by default. You can set it to VI as well. And then you, okay, set command, it's shell internal, so it won't work. Okay. There are ways to set the read line to VI. Okay. The shell normally uses Emacs or VI. Read line supports both. Yeah. Since it's not a true shell, it does not support the set command. So you can similarly do things like Control J to delete the entire line, Control Y to paste it, and such things which you normally do on shell can be done. To exit, you press Control D, and you will return to your original shell. So now we will go and read the documentation of the library. So this is Readline library. We will go and read what the documentation says about Readline library. Okay. So it's quite big, but we should be able to finish this within this video. So it says that the readline modules defines a number of functions to facilitate completion and reading or writing of history files from the Python interpreter. This module can be used directly or via RL completer module, which supports completion of Python identifiers at the interactive prompt. Settings made using this module affect the behavior of both the interpreter's interactive prompt and the prompts offered by the built-in input function. Readline key bindings may be configured via an initialization file, typically .inputrc in your home directory. So the init file manual will be in GNU Readline manual. We will visit it later. So not Android, not iOS, not WASI. This module is not supported on mobile platforms or WebAssembly platform. This is an optional module. If it is missing from your copy of C Python, look for documentation from a distribution. You have to compile Python with Readline library actually. And that is one of the reasons why it does not work on Windows. So the init file, on the init file, you pass certain arguments. One is parse and bind, which we saw. And then there is read, execute the init line provided by the string argument. This calls rl underscore parse and bind in the underlying library. Then we have read init file. It executes readline initialization file. The default file name is the last file name used. This calls rl underscore read underscore init file in the underlying library. It traces an auditing event open with the file name if given and readline init file otherwise, regardless of which the library resolves. Then we have something called line buffer, which operates on one line. First is get line buffer, which gets the current line buffer. Then we have insert text, which insert text into the line buffer at the current position. This calls rl underscore insert text. This is the C call, C function called either. And then we have redisplay. Change what is displayed on the screen to reflect the current contents of the line buffer. So this also calls, all the function calls will end up calling the C library. Then we have read history file, which reads the history file as I have shown you. Write history file, which is at the bottom of the program. The default file name is .history in your home directory. Then we have append history file, append the last n elements. Seems there is a typing mistake. It is n elements items of history to a file. The default is the same. The file must already exist. This calls append history in the underlying library and so on. Then we have get history length or set history length. So these will set and get history length. Then we have history list. We have clear history, which will clear the history. Get current history length will give the current history length. Get history item will give you the history item at that index. Then we have remove history item, which takes the position. Then we have replace history item, which replaces history item at position pause by the line. Then we have add history, which takes line and adds the line to the history file. We have set auto history is to enable or disable automatic calls to history when reading input via read line. Then we have startup hook and set input hook, both take a callback. So if function is specified, it will be used as the new hook function. If omitted or none, any function already installed is removed. The hook is called with no arguments that before readline prints the first prompt. Similarly, set pre-input hook, set or remove the function invoked by rl underscore pre underscore input underscore hook callback of the underlying library, that is GNU readline. If function is specified, it will be used as a new hook function. If omitted or none, any function already installed is removed. So there is not much to it actually. Okay, it is mostly useful for creating shells and saving history files. So thing is that unless you want history, there is not a big purpose of this particular library. Set completer you have seen, the one which we used. Then get completer is what will give you the function which is used to complete it. Get completion type is the type of completion. and get beginning index and get in end index will give the beginning and ending index of the completion scope. Then completed delimiters are there, which takes an argument and get completed delimiters. So in general, these are none. The example is given here. So it creates os.path.join. So in the home directory, you create .python history and it reads the history file and sets the history length to 1000. And at exit, it registers the write history file call along with the argument hist file. So these examples are quite simple compared to what we had. So another example is hist file is set to Python history. It reads the history file, gets current history length, and if file is not found, then it opens with the write binary, and then it closes that, and then it sets length to 0. And save, what it does is it gets the current history length, sets the history length, and then appends to the history file the new history length minus previous history length and history file. So at register, it calls the save. So if we look at our example, it is quite complex compared to what is given in the library. So I think I'll push this to Git repo and you can download this file and play with it. So I think we can end this video here. I know that I went pretty fast in the documentation. So if you are going to create a shell-like program, then make sure that you use GNU Readline to create your shell, okay? So what I mean by that is the main thing you can do is you use, so the main calls which you need are set completed, parse and bind, okay? And then read history file. These are your main functions which you need. Let me see if there is anything else. No. And then you have to write the history file. So with this, we come to the end of this video, and I hope you have enjoyed and found this video useful and informative. So let me know your comments and feedback, what you think about the video. Did I go too fast or was I slow? So I will welcome your feedback and adjust accordingly. So thanks for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, keep learning. Enjoy.